Hello, everyone. I am the sleep storyteller, and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a lot. Also, let me know in the comments, where are you from and what time are you listening? Now get comfortable and relax. The night air carried a quiet enchantment as a soft mist curled through the winding cobbled streets of Diagon Alley. Unlike its usual bustling atmosphere filled with the chatter of witches and wizards, the alley now lay wrapped in an almost sacred stillness. The glow of street lanterns shimmered against the shop windows, their reflections dancing like whispers of old magic. A gentle breeze stirred through the empty walkways, carrying the scent of parchment, ink, and a hint of cinnamon from the distant apothecary. The world had settled into slumber, yet magic never truly slept. Wrapped in warm cloaks against the cool midnight air, Harry Potter and Hermione Granger stood at the hidden entrance behind the leaky cauldron. The heavy hush of the hour made their surroundings feel almost otherworldly, as if stepping into a secret part of the wizarding world only revealed to those who dared to walk its paths beneath the stars. Hermione's eyes sparkled with quiet excitement as she turned to Harry, a soft smile playing on her lips. "Have you ever wondered what it's like here after everyone's gone?" she asked, her voice just above a whisper, as though speaking too loudly would break the spell of the moment. Harry, intrigued by the thought, had agreed without hesitation. There was something about Diagon Alley, the place where his journey into the wizarding world had begun, that always felt like a second home. But now, under the hush of midnight, it seemed transformed. With a practiced motion, Harry raised his wand and tapped the bricks in their familiar sequence. The wall trembled, shifting and rippling like liquid stone, before parting to reveal the hidden world beyond. Hermione let out a quiet breath, watching as the alley unfolded before them, bathed in moonlight and mystery. Stepping forward, the usual vibrant colors of the shops had softened into muted hues under the silver glow of the sky. The sign above Ollivander's swayed gently, its ancient wood creaking softly. Flourish and Blots stood silent, its shelves of books pressed against the large window, their gilded spines faintly catching the light. A book with silver runes on its cover pulsed softly, as if sensing their presence. "It feels different," Harry murmured, adjusting his glasses as he took it all in. The absence of voices, footsteps, and hurried conversations made the space feel vaster, like it stretched beyond time itself. Hermione nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. "Like it belongs to something older than us." Their footsteps echoed softly as they wandered further, their boots clicking against the cobblestones. In the quiet, the magic of the alley felt more alive than ever. A faint rustling came from the direction of the magical menagerie, where the soft purring of creatures could still be heard, as if some magical beings never truly slept. Hermione crouched near the glass window, watching a small, curled-up Kneazle, its fur shimmering faintly in the low light. "This place breathes, even when no one is here," she whispered. Harry gazed upward at the night sky, visible between the high rooftops. The stars shone brilliantly, untouched by the city's glow, and for a moment he felt something stir deep within him, a quiet peace, a reminder that not all magic was found in spells or incantations. Some of it simply existed, waiting to be noticed. As they moved deeper into the alley, their attention was drawn to something unusual. Between two well-known shops, Madame Malkin's and Potage's Cauldron Shop, stood a small, unassuming storefront. It wasn't a place Harry recognized, and yet it looked as though it had always been there. A sign, slightly tilted and dusted with time, hung above the door. Elwyn's Curiosities, Enigmas, and Artifacts for the Inquisitive. Hermione stopped in her tracks. "That's strange," she murmured, tilting her head. "I don't remember seeing this shop before." Harry frowned, stepping closer. The window display was dimly lit by an eerie silver glow. Inside, shelves of peculiar trinkets and ancient artifacts stood in careful disarray. Small wind chimes near the entrance tinkled softly, though no wind stirred the air. Curiosity ignited between them. Hermione's fingers brushed over the door's handle as she glanced at Harry, silently asking the unspoken question. "Should we?" Harry asked, though they both already knew the answer. With a quiet nod, Hermione pushed the door open, and together they stepped into the unknown. The door to Elwyn's Curiosities creaked softly as Harry and Hermione stepped inside. The scent of old parchment and something faintly spicy, clove, perhaps wafting through the dimly lit shop. The air felt thick, as if saturated with ancient magic, humming softly beneath the surface. Shadows stretched along the wooden walls, flickering in the glow of a few enchanted lanterns that swayed without breeze. Hermione took a slow step forward, her eyes widening as she took in the endless shelves of peculiar artifacts. Delicate glass orbs shimmered faintly in shades of deep blue and gold, as though trapping bits of starlight within. A collection of miniature, enchanted hourglasses sat atop a dusty wooden counter, their sands shifting in unnatural patterns, some flowing upward, some moving in chaotic swirls. Harry's fingers hovered over a polished cabinet, where small, glowing runes pulsed gently beneath the surface of the wood. His mind flashed back to the memory of another enchanted object, Tom Riddle's diary, and he hesitated before pulling his hand away. "Everything in here feels alive," he murmured. Hermione had drifted toward a shelf of intricately bound tomes, her breath catching as she noticed a thin, worn scroll wrapped in faded velvet. Her fingertips brushed over the edge, and as if sensing her touch, the scroll pulsed faintly, sending a ripple of golden light through the air. "This magic," she whispered, but before she could finish, a soft rustling filled the room. Both of them froze. The sound wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable presence, as though the shop itself had stirred awake. Then, from the far end of the shop, Beyond the rows of peculiar trinkets came the faintest flicker of movement. Harry instinctively reached for his wand. "Did you see that?" Hermione nodded, her eyes darting toward a small, intricately carved chest resting on a pedestal near the back. It was no bigger than a jewelry box, yet it radiated a quiet glow. Its surface covered in delicate constellations that shimmered faintly, as if reflecting the night sky itself. She took a cautious step toward it. This is star magic." Harry followed her gaze, recognizing the celestial patterns etched into the wood. He had seen similar designs in books about ancient wizarding crafts, but never anything quite like this. The chest pulsed again, responding to their presence, and a soft click echoed in the silent room. "It just unlocked itself," Hermione whispered, her heartbeat quickening. Harry shot her a look. "That's not concerning at all." She hesitated, then glanced at him. Together, with a slow nod, they each placed a hand on the lid. The moment their fingers brushed the wood, the chest opened on its own accord, revealing a single scroll nestled within dark blue velvet. The parchment was thick and aged, its edges tinged with silver. What made it truly remarkable, however, was the writing glowing, shifting between English and a language neither of them recognized. Hermione leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. This is a map." Harry's brows furrowed. "A map like the Marauder's map?" "Not exactly." She studied the shifting lines and symbols. "It's showing something beneath Diagon Alley, hidden places, secret chambers." Her voice caught with awe. "This is a guide to lost magic." The words shimmered again, forming new text before their eyes. The ink pulsed faintly, as though reacting to their presence. "For those who seek with open hearts, the path will reveal itself. But beware, some secrets are meant to remain hidden." A shiver ran down Harry's spine. He exchanged a glance with Hermione, the weight of the discovery settling between them. Before they could say another word, the wind chimes by the entrance tinkled again, this time with a sudden urgency. A shadow passed over the glass window. They weren't alone. Harry's grip on his wand tightened as he and Hermione exchanged a silent glance. The air inside Elwyn's curiosities felt heavier now, charged with something unseen but undeniably present. The shadow that had passed over the window was gone, but the lingering weight of its presence remained. Hermione quickly rolled up the ancient scroll, tucking it securely into her satchel. "We need to leave," she whispered, her breath barely audible. Harry nodded, stepping cautiously toward the door. His wand was still raised, his heart thudding in his chest. Every instinct told him they weren't alone, that someone was aware of their discovery. As they reached the entrance, the lanterns overhead flickered, casting long, dancing shadows against the shelves. Then, just as Harry reached for the door handle, a voice, low, measured, ancient, echoed from the depths of the shop. "The map has chosen you, but choice comes with consequence. Harry spun around, his wand tip igniting with a sharp glow. Hermione, standing just behind him, drew her own wand in quick succession. Their eyes darted across the dimly lit shop, searching for the source of the voice. Then, from the farthest corner, a figure emerged, not a person, but something eerily close. A life-sized wooden mannequin, its joints creaking with age, stepped into the light. Its hollow eyes gleamed with an unnatural glow, its carved fingers moving as if controlled by invisible strings. Hermione exhaled sharply. It's enchanted. Harry didn't lower his wand. Who are you? The mannequin cocked its head, as though amused by the question. Its voice echoed from deep within its hollow frame. I am the keeper of secrets, the guardian of the forgotten. Hermione's grip on her wand tightened. The scroll, what does it mean? The mannequin's head tilted slightly. It is a key, a guide to the unseen paths. The question is, do you dare to follow where it leads? Harry and Hermione exchanged a glance. The weight of the moment pressed against them. The knowledge that they were standing at the edge of something ancient and unknown. Harry took a steadying breath. Why was it hidden? The wooden figure's joints groaned as it shifted. Because not all who seek are worthy. Not all who follow should find. The words settled between them like a warning, thick with meaning. Hermione's mind raced. Who had created this map? Why had it remained untouched for so long? She straightened her shoulders. We want to know the truth. The mannequin was still for a long moment. Then, as if satisfied with her answer, it took a slow step back. Then follow its light. At once, the lanterns dimmed, leaving only the faint, pulsing glow of the scroll inside Hermione's satchel. The map had activated again, responding to their intent. Its lines shifted, revealing a new path, one that led not through the familiar streets of Diagon Alley, but somewhere deeper. Beneath them, Hermione's pulse quickened. It's showing a hidden passage. Harry's jaw tightened. Then we follow it. Without another word, they turned, stepping out of the shop and back into the hushed glow of the alley. The mannequin remained behind, its presence lingering like a whisper in the dark. As the door closed behind them, the map pulsed again, illuminating their way forward. A secret long forgotten had been found, and now there was no turning back. The cool night air wrapped around Harry and Hermione as they stepped back into the stillness of Diagon Alley. The ancient map, now fully awake, pulsed faintly from within Hermione's satchel, as though urging them forward. The alley, though unchanged to any ordinary passerby, no longer felt the same to them. Every shadow, every quiet corner, seemed alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Hermione carefully unfurled the scroll beneath the glow of their wand light. The golden ink shimmered, shifting as though infused with living magic. There, she whispered, pointing to a new path that had appeared on the parchment. A narrow alleyway branching off near the apothecary. One neither of them had noticed before. Harry frowned. That wasn't there before. Hermione nodded. That's the point. It's been hidden. The realization sent a thrill of anticipation through them both. The map wasn't just revealing old secrets. It was reshaping the way they saw Diagon Alley entirely. They moved quickly, but cautiously, their footsteps light against the cobblestones. As they neared the apothecary, the air itself seemed to shift. A faint hum filled the silence, a sound so subtle it was more a feeling than a noise. It resonated in their bones, like magic humming beneath the very foundation of the alley. Then, just as the map had shown, they found it. Tucked between two tall brick buildings was an impossibly narrow lane, its entrance shrouded in deep shadow. The lanterns along Diagon Alley seemed to stop just before reaching it, as if the light itself hesitated to intrude. The only illumination came from above the stars, their glow reflected in the puddles pooled along the uneven stones. Hermione glanced at Harry. Ready. Harry smirked. A hidden alley in the middle of the night. What could possibly go wrong? With careful steps, they entered. The passage was tight, the walls pressing close on either side. Ivy hung down in long, curling strands, shifting slightly as if moved by an unseen breeze. The deeper they went, the thicker the air became, not unpleasant, but charged with something ancient. As they reached the end of the lane, they found themselves facing a small wooden door, almost entirely concealed by overgrown vines. Unlike the ordinary shopfronts of Diagon Alley, this door was carved with swirling runes, their delicate engravings shimmering faintly beneath the moonlight. Hermione's fingers traced the patterns, her mind racing. These are protective sigils, she murmured, awed. They're meant to guard something valuable or dangerous. Harry's hand tightened around his wand. Which do you think it is? Hermione exhaled. Only one way to find out. The map pulsed again, its glow illuminating a single line of text that had not been there before. Speak the name of the keeper, and the path shall open. Hermione's brow furrowed. The keeper could it mean? Try it, Harry urged. Hermione took a breath. Elwyn. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft click echoed through the silence, and the runes on the door flared with a pale silver light. The vines curled away as if retreating from the magic, and the door creaked open, revealing a dark, spiraling stairwell descending into the unknown. Hermione met Harry's gaze, excitement and apprehension warring in her expression. Looks like we're going underground. Harry gave a lopsided grin. I was hopping for something less ominous. A glowing portal, maybe. Hermione rolled her eyes, but smiled as she stepped forward. Come on, Potter. Together, they stepped past the threshold, the door closing silently behind them. The descent had begun. The air grew cooler as Harry and Hermione descended the winding stone staircase, their footsteps echoing softly against the ancient walls. The passage was narrow, the rough stone damp beneath their fingertips as they carefully navigated the spiraling descent. The only light came from their wands, casting long, flickering shadows along the uneven steps. "I don't think anyone's been down here for a very long time," Hermione murmured, brushing her fingers against a thin layer of dust clinging to the walls. Harry exhaled through his nose. "Feels like something out of a ghost story." The deeper they went, the heavier the air became, not in a stifling way, but charged with something unseen, a lingering presence of magic woven into the very foundation of the passage. It wasn't threatening, but it wasn't exactly welcoming either. After what felt like several minutes, the stairs finally ended, opening into a cavernous chamber lit by a soft, silvery glow. The room stretched before them, circular in shape, its high, domed ceiling glistening as though embedded with tiny stars. Along the curved walls stood towering bookshelves filled with ancient tomes, scrolls bound in faded leather, and delicate glass vials containing swirling, iridescent liquids. At the heart of the chamber stood a large stone pedestal, carved with the same intricate runes that had marked the door above. Resting atop, it was a single object, a silver chalice, its surface shimmering faintly in the dim light. Hermione inhaled sharply. This must be what the map was leading us to. Harry stepped closer, examining the runes engraved into the pedestal. "Does this feel like a test to you?" Hermione nodded slowly. "It does." Cautiously, she reached out, her fingertips grazing the chalice's smooth surface. The moment she touched it, the air around them stirred, as if the chamber itself had come to life. A low hum filled the space, and from the still water within the chalice, a shimmering projection flickered into existence. A ghostly figure materialized before them, a tall, elderly wizard with a long silver beard, his expression calm yet watchful. His robes were deep blue, embroidered with celestial patterns that twinkled faintly like the night sky. Seekers of the Night Keeper's map, the figure intoned, his voice both distant and clear. "You have proven your worth by finding this chamber. But the knowledge you seek is not given freely. It must be earned." Harry and Hermione exchanged a glance. They had expected to find something valuable, something hidden, but they hadn't anticipated a trial. The figure gestured toward the chalice. "This vessel holds the essence of knowledge, memories of those who came before, of the magic lost to time. To drink is to accept the responsibility that comes with understanding." His gaze sharpened slightly. "But beware, for knowledge changes those who seek it." Hermione bit her lip. A test of intent. Harry studied the chalice, then looked at Hermione. "What do you think?" Hermione's eyes flickered with thought. If this map was made to reveal lost magic, then it's not just about finding something. It's about whether we're ready for what it means. Harry exhaled. "Then we do it together." With a nod, Hermione lifted the chalice carefully. The liquid inside shimmered, swirling like liquid starlight. She met Harry's gaze once more before taking a small sip. The moment the cool liquid touched her lips, a rush of warmth spread through her, filling her with an overwhelming sense of calm. She handed the chalice to Harry, who took his own sip. As soon as he did, the chamber dissolved into light. The walls, the bookshelves, the pedestal, all of it faded, replaced by a vast expanse of stars. They were no longer underground, but floating within a cosmic void, constellations shifting and reforming around them. A voice, soft, melodic, whispered through the space. You have taken the first step, but there is more yet to see. As the stars swirled, an image began to form before them, one that would reveal the true nature of the map and the path that lay ahead. The stars stretched endlessly around them, shifting in slow, deliberate patterns, forming constellations that pulsed like ancient memories. Hermione's breath caught in her throat as she reached out instinctively, her fingertips brushing against a thread of light. It shimmered beneath her touch, then unraveled into a stream of golden script that curled through the air before vanishing into the void. Harry, standing beside her, turned in slow wonder, watching as images flickered in and out of existence, glimpses of Diagon Alley as it had once been, long before their time. The alleyway looked different, its shops rearranged, the stonework younger, untouched by centuries of footfall. Wizards in long robes bustled through its streets, exchanging galleons for goods at stalls that no longer existed in their time. This is a memory, Hermione whispered, eyes wide. The chalice, it didn't just show us the past, it's allowing us to step inside it. Harry furrowed his brow. But why? Before she could answer, the swirling golden script formed another set of words, hanging in the air like a riddle. The past shapes the present. To move forward, you must understand what was lost. Hermione's gaze snapped toward the ground, or what should have been ground. But instead, beneath their feet, the stones of Diagon Alley seemed to stretch into a network of hidden passageways, tunnels threading beneath the cobbled streets like veins of forgotten magic. Some were sealed, lost to time. Others pulsed faintly, waiting to be found. She turned to Harry, excitement flickering in her eyes. The map, it's more than just a guide to hidden places. It's a record of forgotten magic, lost knowledge. It doesn't just reveal paths, it reveals what has been buried. Harry let out a slow breath, taking it all in. And now it's showing us what we need to find. The stars above shifted again, and this time, a single point of light glowed brighter than the rest. As they watched, it expanded into a vision, a room vast and circular, its walls lined with towering shelves filled with scrolls and books. At its center, atop a pedestal much like the one they had just seen, rested a single object, a small, ornate key. The key, Hermione murmured. It's important. The stars around them flickered. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the vision collapsed inward. The world around them spiraled, pulling them back through time, through space. until they were standing once more in the underground chamber, the chalice now empty in Hermione's hands. The silver-bearded figure remained before them, his gaze patient and knowing. You have seen what was lost. Now you must find it. Hermione glanced down at the map, which had once again begun to shift beneath her touch. A new path had appeared, leading even deeper beneath Diagon Alley. Harry straightened, adjusting his grip on his wand. Looks like we're not done yet. Hermione smiled, exhilarated. Not even close. With the map's guidance and the knowledge they had just uncovered, they turned toward the next passageway, ready to continue their descent into the secrets that awaited them. The underground passage stretched before them, its walls lined with ancient stone, worn smooth by time. The air was cooler here, carrying the scent of damp earth and something faintly metallic, old magic, lingering in the very foundations of Diagon Alley. The map in Hermione's hands pulsed softly, the golden ink shifting to reveal the path ahead, guiding them toward the key they had glimpsed in the vision. Harry's wand cast a steady glow as they moved deeper into the passage, their footsteps muffled against the uneven stone. This place feels different, he murmured, like it's been waiting. Hermione nodded, her fingers tracing the delicate script etched along the walls, ancient runes, their meanings lost to time. Magic like this doesn't just disappear, she whispered. It hides, waiting for someone to find it again. They reached a fork in the passage, and the map's glow intensified, guiding them left. The tunnel narrowed, forcing them to move single file, their footsteps careful as they navigated the tight space. Then, just as they turned another bend, the corridor opened into a vast, circular chamber. It was exactly as they had seen in their vision. Towering shelves stretched high above them, filled with scrolls and books, so old their bindings had fused into the wood. The air thrummed with quiet energy, as though the chamber itself was aware of their presence. And at the center, atop a pedestal of smooth black stone, rested the key. It was smaller than they had expected, no larger than the palm of a hand. But it gleamed with an unmistakable power. Intricate engravings covered its surface, curling in delicate loops of silver and gold. Hermione took a careful step forward. This is it. Harry stayed close beside her, his wand still raised. I don't think it's going to be that easy. The moment Hermione's fingers closed around the key, the chamber trembled. Dust fell in soft clouds from the high shelves, and the air thickened with a sudden, charged energy. The runes along the walls flared to life, glowing with a light so bright it cast shifting patterns across the stone floor. Then, from the shadows, something moved. At first, it was just a ripple of darkness, stretching and twisting. But then it took form tall, hooded, its face obscured by the void beneath its cowl. Its presence sent a chill down Harry's spine, a weight pressing against his chest. This wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a person. It was something older, something bound to this place, The key was not meant to be disturbed, the figure intoned, its voice low and layered, as if spoken from many mouths at once. Hermione tightened her grip around the key, standing her ground. Then, why did the map lead us here? The figure was silent for a long moment. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, it raised a hand. A pulse of magic rippled through the chamber, and the air around them shifted. The shelves blurred, the stone walls seeming to stretch and distort, as if reality itself was shifting. A test. Harry instinctively reached for Hermione's arm. Whatever happens, we do this together. She nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. Always. The figure's voice resonated through the chamber. Then prove yourselves. With those words, the magic of the chamber surged to life. The air crackled with energy, and the test had begun. A pulse of raw magic rippled through the chamber, distorting the air like heat waves rising from stone. The hooded figure remained motionless, but its presence alone sent chills down Harry's spine. The runes along the walls flared brighter, casting long, shifting shadows across the floor. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them shifted. Harry barely had time to react before the stone pedestal vanished, replaced by a maze of glowing pathways that seemed to stretch endlessly beneath their feet. The shelves of books and scrolls blurred, melting into the swirling golden light. And suddenly, the chamber was no longer a solid place. They were somewhere between reality and magic itself. Hermione gasped. It's changing the space around us. Harry turned in a slow circle, wand raised, scanning for anything tangible. What are we supposed to do? The hooded figure lifted one hand, and the golden maze beneath them pulsed. To hold the key is to hold knowledge, it intoned. But knowledge must be understood, or it becomes a burden too great to bear. As the words echoed, a sudden gust of invisible force rushed toward them. The paths beneath their feet shifted, rearranging like puzzle pieces. Hermione's fingers tightened around the key as the ground wavered beneath her. It's testing our intent, she realized. It's forcing us to find the right path. Harry glanced down at the glowing floor, watching as certain pathways flickered in and out of existence. Some seemed stable, while others wavered like illusions. His mind raced. So if we choose wrong, we fall, Hermione answered grimly. Harry swallowed hard. Brilliant. They had no choice but to move. The moment they stepped onto one of the glowing pathways, the chamber around them responded, the runes along the walls shifting, watching, waiting. The hooded figure remained still, observing their every move. Hermione took a cautious step forward, studying the patterns in the glowing floor. It's a puzzle. The correct path must be based on. The moment her foot touched the wrong tile, the ground beneath her flickered violently. A rush of air yanked her downward, and for a single, terrifying moment, she felt herself falling. Harry lunged forward, grabbing her wrist just in time. He yanked her back onto solid ground, heart pounding. Okay, that one was wrong. Hermione let out a shaky breath. Noted. Together, they studied the paths again. The runes along the walls flickered with shifting patterns, almost like a sequence, Hermione whispered, eyes lighting up. The runes, they're a guide. The right path follows the sequence. Harry followed her gaze, watching as certain runes repeated themselves in a recognizable pattern. He exhaled sharply. So we follow the symbols. Hermione nodded. It's a test of understanding. The map led us here to prove we're not just seeking power, we're seeking knowledge. With careful precision, they stepped forward, moving only when the runes aligned with the correct sequence. The chamber trembled as they advanced, but they held steady, their movements deliberate. As they neared the center, the hooded figure raised its hand again. The golden light flared, and the runes pulsed one last time before dissolving into mist. The pathways faded, and suddenly they were standing on solid stone once more, the test complete. The figure regarded them in silence for a long moment before finally speaking. You have passed. Harry exhaled deeply, lowering his wand. Hermione held up the key, its surface shimmering faintly in the dim light. What does it unlock? She asked. The figure's voice was softer now, almost approving. The final truth. The chamber pulsed with energy, and before they could ask another question, the stone walls around them shifted once more, revealing a hidden door at the far end of the room. Harry and Hermione exchanged a glance. This is it, Hermione whispered. With renewed determination, they stepped toward the doorway, the key guiding them toward the final secret the Night Keeper's map had been waiting to reveal. The hidden door loomed before them, carved from dark stone and covered in delicate, shifting runes that shimmered like liquid silver. It felt ancient, untouched by time, as though it had been waiting for centuries to be opened. Hermione gripped the key tightly, her pulse quickening. Harry stood beside her, wand at the ready, his eyes locked onto the markings that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their breath. She exhaled. This is it. Harry nodded. Only one way to find out. Hermione raised the key and pressed it gently into the carved indentation at the door's center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deep, resonant hum, the runes flared brightly, illuminating the entire chamber in a soft glow. The air vibrated, thick with unseen energy, as the stone door slowly parted, revealing a passage bathed in pale blue light. Beyond the threshold lay a circular room, unlike anything they had ever seen. The ceiling stretched high, embedded with thousands of tiny, glowing stars, an artificial night sky, twinkling in quiet brilliance. The walls were lined with ornate shelves, each holding carefully preserved scrolls, tomes, and artifacts, radiating an undeniable power. At the very center of the chamber, resting atop a raised platform of smooth black marble, was a large, open book. Its pages glowed softly, the ink shifting as though alive, forming and reforming words that had not been read in centuries. Hermione stepped forward in silent awe. This is a library. Harry glanced around, his eyes scanning the endless collections of knowledge surrounding them. Not just any library. This is something else. Hermione moved toward the central book, drawn to it as if by instinct. The runes surrounding its pedestal were unlike any she had ever seen, their meaning just out of reach. "This must be the heart of it," she murmured. Harry stayed close beside her. "What does it say?" Hermione hesitated, then carefully ran her fingers along the edge of the book's glowing pages. The ink rippled beneath her touch, shifting into recognizable words. Her breath caught as she read aloud. "To those who walk the path of knowledge, know this. Magic is not merely cast, but remembered. The past holds the key to the future, and the wisdom of the forgotten must never fade." Harry frowned. "What does that mean?" Hermione's mind raced. "It means this place isn't just a storehouse. It's a preservation of lost magic. Spells, enchantments, history, things that were erased or hidden away over time." Harry glanced at the surrounding shelves. So the Night Keeper's map didn't just lead us to a hidden place. It led us to something meant to be protected. Hermione turned another page, and suddenly the book responded to her touch. The entire chamber trembled slightly, and new words formed before her eyes. A choice must be made. To reveal the knowledge within is to accept the burden of its return. Magic lost can be found, but some secrets are kept for a reason. Harry stiffened. That sounds like a warning. Hermione swallowed hard, her fingers hovering over the book's edge. She understood the weight of what they had found. Some knowledge was hidden because it was dangerous, some because it was powerful, and some because the world had chosen to forget it. She turned to Harry. "If we take this knowledge, it changes things. We don't know what's in here, what was meant to stay lost." Harry met her gaze, his expression serious. "But if we leave it, we may never get another chance to understand it." Silence stretched between them. The book pulsed softly, waiting for their decision. Finally, Hermione took a slow breath. "Then we do this carefully. We take only what we need, what we understand." Harry nodded, agreed. With quiet reverence, Hermione touched the book again, this time allowing the magic to respond. The pages glowed brighter, and the chamber filled with a soft, resonant hum. A single scroll lifted from its place on the shelf, drifting toward them. It landed gently in Hermione's hands, its seal still intact. The chamber seemed to settle, as if approving their choice. The stars overhead flickered, their glow steady and unwavering. Harry looked around, exhaling slowly. "I think we just became part of something much bigger." Hermione traced the edges of the scroll, feeling the magic woven into its parchment. "And I think we're only just beginning to understand what it means." With the scroll secured and the chamber's knowledge now forever imprinted in their minds, they turned back toward the passageway. Their journey was nearly over, but the path ahead had never felt more open. The chamber's quiet hum followed Harry and Hermione as they stepped back through the ancient doorway, the weight of the scroll resting heavily in Hermione's hands. The passage behind them seemed to sigh, as if exhaling centuries of secrets that had been waiting to be remembered. The hidden library of Diagon Alley, the lost repository of magic, had revealed itself to them, and now it was theirs to carry forward. As they retraced their steps through the underground corridors, the air no longer felt as heavy, nor the darkness as ominous. The runes along the walls dimmed to a soft glow, as if the chamber had accepted their presence, satisfied with their choice. Hermione occasionally glanced at the scroll, her mind racing with possibilities. What spells lay within? What knowledge had been deliberately buried? More importantly, why had it been hidden in the first place? Harry, walking beside her, finally broke the silence. What do you think is in there? Hermione shook her head. I don't know yet, but whatever it is, it was meant to be preserved, maybe even protected. Harry exhaled through his nose. Feels like we just walked into something bigger than we ever expected. They reached the spiraling staircase that had led them underground, and with steady steps, they ascended. As they emerged back into the open air of Diagon Alley, the cool night breeze wrapped around them, carrying the scent of parchment, old stone, and distant candle wax. The alley was as quiet as when they had left it, but it no longer felt the same. Now, they knew what lay beneath, what history whispered beneath their very footsteps. Hermione rolled up the map and tucked it away safely in her satchel. Its ink had settled, the shifting lines and glowing paths fading, as if its purpose had been fulfilled, at least for now. It stopped changing, she murmured. Harry glanced at the closed shop fronts surrounding them, their windows dark and silent. I guess that means we found what it wanted us to. They wandered back toward the heart of Diagon Alley, their footsteps slow, unhurried. The magical street, once a place of childhood wonder, had transformed into something more, a keeper of hidden things, of forgotten magic that had always been waiting beneath the surface. As they neared the entrance to the leaky cauldron, Hermione hesitated. She turned back, looking once more down the quiet alley. It's strange to think about, she murmured. How much we don't know. How much magic is still out there, waiting. Harry followed her gaze. The shops, the cobbled stones, the flickering lanterns, everything looked ordinary, but they knew better now. It's kind of comforting, he admitted, knowing there's always more to discover. Hermione smiled softly. Magic never really ends, does it? Harry smirked. I hope not. With that, they stepped back into the warmth of the leaky cauldron, the scent of butterbeer and worn wood welcoming them home. The first hints of dawn touched the sky outside, casting a soft glow over the rooftops. The night had given them its secrets, and now, in the quiet moments before morning, Those secrets belonged to them, as Hermione tucked the scroll safely into her bag, and Harry ran a hand through his tousled hair. They both knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. Somewhere beneath the streets of Diagon Alley, the runes still pulsed faintly, waiting for the next seekers to come.